And good evening. How are you, everyone? Good to see you. It's good to be seen by you. We are here to play some Classic Traveler. And for that, we have got the one, the only, the ever awesome, the Viking Hat GM, my co-host with the most, the Antipodian player character killer, Mr. Kyle Schuant. How are you?
Hey, boys and girls. How you doing? All good down here. I upgraded the computer, so I had to upgrade the software, which is why the intro looks different. I couldn't find the original titles and all the rest, so I just upgraded.
Well, I think it's rather snappy looking myself. Showing a little bit of bias there, but I think it looks awesome. We're waiting on a couple of more people to slide into the green room so we can get this started.
Here's Sapphire.
There's Sapphire. Before we do that, I want to take a quick mention here because I don't want to let this slide past. Luke Fresher, who has a fantasy comic Kickstarter project going, will be our guest tomorrow night. We are having a guest on stream. So, I will put up all the details, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Yang recommended him. I looked at his stuff, and it looks pretty cool. So Luke will be here tomorrow night. But anyway, that's what's going on. Greetings, Gerard Leon. Good to see you. Robert Phillips. Ballard didn't bother to change his name, even though he's a fugitive. Brassy.
Well, he's going to a different world. And remember, in this game universe, there's a lot of travel between worlds. It's a distance. It's a distance that takes time. You don't just teleport there. It's sort of a week to fly out to a point where you can jump, and then it's a week in jump space, and then it's a week to come in and land and everything. And there's no faster than light communication, so travel only goes at the speed of the fastest ship. As well, the higher tech stuff, the AI, is banned. So you've got this relatively low tech, like our modern day technology, but more maybe 1980s in some respects. There might be some gene technology and some stuff that doesn't need AI that's a bit more advanced. It's kind of looking like the worlds of Alien or The Expanse or something like that. If you go to another world, you can be forgotten. It's just like in the 19th century. You could be a criminal in Britain and go and live in America, and you could have the same name. It would be very hard for them to track you down. And in the end, it'd be like, well, he's not in the country anymore, so he's not our problem. Unless it's an international war criminal or somebody really prominent that they really wanted to get, they just let it go. He's not our problem anymore.
Yeah,
as well, 30 years have passed. So
when they finally caught up with arguably the most corrupt politician in the 19th century in the United States, Boss Tweed of New York, he was working as a dock worker in Spain. Imagine. Insert your least favorite politician here that in your heart of hearts is guilty of heinous crimes. Don't type their name in the chat. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Just like, pissed off to Barbados and just decided to, work at a beachside cabana in Barbados. And people are, where did this person who was featured on CNN.com, constantly for 4 years or whatever, where did they go? That's kind of the same effect. So yes, Ballard just was like, they're not going to know who I am.
As well, Rob, this is kind of something which is pretty common in RPG settings, because RPG settings need to be somewhat lawless to accommodate the players. Right? Because you need there to be enough danger that there's some adventure. Okay, so nobody wants to role play the middle class suburban accountant. It's you want there to be enough danger that there is adventure, and that usually needs a degree of lawlessness out on the frontier. You also want the player characters to have a degree of autonomy. If you've got instant communications, then you can have the general trying to move around individual platoons and stuff. That doesn't work terribly well. So you put together those things that you need a certain amount of lawlessness for there to be any adventure at all, and a certain amount of lawlessness in order for the players to have the autonomy that players will want. They don't want to be told, run up that hill towards a machine gun. You put those two together, and you also get an environment where NPCs can just disappear to another planet under their same name and get away with stuff. And then, of course, the players, if they feel that that's wrong, they can right this injustice. Or if they feel that that's right, they can then join up with the guy as they see fit.
Yes. Yes, so. Definitely.
Damien, yeah. Has to be lawless enough that vigilantes are paid rather than arrested.
Pretty much. That is nail on the head there. There's a was it there used to be a I think it's still out there, but it hails from the hoary days of Web 1.0. And I think it might have even been a print publication, but it was called The Straight Dope. And the guy that ran The Straight Dope was the Google, the Wikipedia, the Encyclopedia Britannica. He was the facts guy. And you could ask, what is X? And if he thought your question was interesting, he would address it. And somebody said, I've heard of this thing called Dungeons and Dragons. What is Dungeons and Dragons? And I'll never forget his response was, he said, it was many things, but he said, Dungeons and Dragons is the violent libertarian accountant's wet dream. And I think ultimately, I don't care where your politics are leaning. If you're running some kind of a fictional world where a party can swing swords, fire 6 guns, drive battle mechs, run around in main battle tanks, whatever, with impunity, and make money doing it, that is pretty much the violent libertarian accountant's wet dream, is it not?
I'd say so, yeah.
There we go. So
all violent. All right, so of your we've got everyone waiting in the green room, waiting to come in.
Well, please, by all means.
What I might do is we might add them one by one, and they can give us a 1-sentence description of their character and where they're from. This is for the benefit of new viewers and regular viewers who perhaps watch something other than this and don't know it all off by heart. Silly of them, I know, but it happens. A 1-sentence description of your character, where they're from and what they do, and a 1-sentence description of recent events in the game, as you see it, your perspective. All right, we'll start off.
I was just going to say, should I start because I'm here, or I can go last, however you want to do it? Did we lose Kyle? Uh-oh. Oh, there you are. I'm not. Oh, okay.
She's got herself muted at the moment.
Oh, no, I'm here. I was just waiting.
Oh. Yep.
My character's name is Wana Hyson. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. I am a scout, 34 years old, served a couple of terms. I have mechanical aptitude. I seem to be the one that is kind of the fix-it for the group. I have a little bit of mechanical, and well, I'm newer to the group, so as far as I can tell, the scout ladies of the group have been pulling their weight, so there we are.
Rightio. All right, let's add Ricky on.
Sure, I'm playing Linda. She's 5'2", ex-draft merchantman, 4th officer. Pretty much just your typical annoyed short, bad-tempered merc who only wants to really fiddle around with electronics and shoot really big guns. As far as what's happened in the game, well, we have almost gotten a new ship, which almost has a really big gun that I could probably play with. And that's really about all I care about, so I'm good.
All right, let's add Tammy to the stream then.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm a scout, so I'm the other scout girl power. I like that. And my skills kicks butt in electronics, so kind of helps along the way. And my character's name is Jane.
And what's been happening in the game so far, as you see it? Recent events.
Well, I kind of agree with my partner there that we've been kind of like having the Girl Scout power. Getting things rolling.
Yep. Well, I was just reading an article the other day that was arguing for more women astronauts on the long duration missions because it said they've averaged it out and it works out to about 2/3 as much food is needed, which, every kilogram that you put up there it's got to be paid for by about 10 other kilogram or 10 to 20 kilograms of fuel. So you can go that bit much further with women on board. And they also seem to be a bit more resilient to radiation and stuff as well. And a bit more cooperative. They're less likely to butt heads, though I think probably...
And usually a little more dexterous, too.
Yeah, I think in the case of modern space program, when you've got like 10,000 applicants for one astronaut position, even if you only selected the men, you could probably select out the more alpha types that are going to headbutt each other in anger. You find the more cooperative, nice types. Hey, who knows? But in the far future, we might see an all-women scout corps. All right, and we'll add Gary to the stream.
Hello. I am Quinda Bud. I'm a Marine. You want it blown up, shot at, you just call me and point me. Started out as a hunting expedition, ended up tying in with the rest of the group, fought off a attack by bandits maybe, and then went over and dug out this ship, and I guess we've gotten it flying now. So.
Rightio. And Todd's going to be absent tonight. He's apparently unwell, so we'll say his character is unwell too. He has been shot at and, inhaled quite a bit of dust recently and that, so it wouldn't surprise me if one or two of you came down with something. Okay, Bill, your character then.
I am Reggie Willie. I am an ex-Navy commander who found himself on the dirty end of the author system, just looking for a cold drink and a place that sells natty Hawaiian shirts. And then we got entangled with a woman who said she was an archaeologist, but was not. I am currently de facto commander of our group. And just as quick as I can get some reaction mass in our recently acquired antique spacecraft, we're going to boost off of this one-horse town and go where a little action is. A little more action, a little less shooty at Reggie action.
Alrighty, I'll just bring up the.
And of note, the last encounter, we did a small jump and managed to route the welcoming group.
Yes.
Pretty readily.
Lord Humungous got up, drew out his megaphone, took a deep breath. I erased him with an anti-ship laser. Zot!
Yes, that was pretty cool.
The funnel worked in reverse.
Yes. And my sincerest, heartfelt apologies to our erstwhile other ship's gunner. I will be flying from here on out. I promise to let you blow stuff up.
It's kind of the go big or go home mentality.
Yeah.
Right. No worries. No worries. I'm glad you did it. You had the luck. I didn't. I wasn't rolling worth crap that entire session.
Some days you get the bear, and someday the bear gets you. I could roll twos all night long.
All right, so you've got your ship, and it's sitting next to a body of water where you've been over the last week. You've been drawing water out of there and purifying it. It's taken time because it's a fair volume of water you got to pull out, but also because you've got to purify it because it's seawater and there's bits of sand in it and all the rest. And then you have to electrolyze some of the water into hydrogen and oxygen for your ship.
We'll obviously have somebody watching to make sure we don't get snuck up on again.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you've also got with the party the NPCs Benjo, who's a pilot and a forger, and also got a bit of admin skill. And you've got the good Dr. Jekyll, the exoarchaeologist, and Luther. So you've got those two with you as well. So down by you deliberately chose a place that looked uninhabited. So you just get the occasional animal come up and poke around, but most are non-hostile. And even the hostile ones, you just take a couple of shots in their direction and they run off.
Well, we might want to restore food stocks while we're here.
What, 30-year-old ration packs aren't your thing?
It tastes
like stale MREs.
Oh God, they're in that advanced. I thought we were back to sea rations.
So
let's get this out on a tray. Nice.
So you've got the week to clean up the ship, do some basic maintenance, because you do have that nuclear reactor with the coolant pipes and that. You want to make sure that that's working properly, so it doesn't end up like in the intro to the clip with the radiation. And there's also tidying the place up and taking stock of your cargo.
Yeah, I'll work with our good friend who has some admin skills, since I have some admin skills, and we're gonna do just that. We're gonna take stock of our cargo, starting with the shiny yellow stuff, and I'm not talking about uranium.
Breaking out the pressure washer.
Yeah, I can.
All right, so you've got a number
watch
of
out
crates.
the blood.
All right, so you've got the dead former crewman. You got him, the deceased guy.
Yeah.
And you also have the you've got two other guys. Three other guys. You've got the two presumed inmates who are frozen in the tubes, and you've got the nomad, the rather bloodied, severely wounded nomad, and he's detained in the infirmary.
Mm.
The other two guys are in cold sleep tubes. But yeah, there is some blood to wash up from the murdered nomad. Shut Up Nomad. And there's also, presumably you want to get rid of that body, even though it's mummified and it's not stinky or anything. That guy died 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I kind of want to keep it.
We're not no. No.
No, let's
That's
go
a
ahead
little
and
bit
bury
too
this guy.
morbid. That's a little
Yeah.
too morbid.
I think we should bury him,
At
give him a
sea.
proper funeral, or at least proper burial.
Burial, not funeral. I'm not
Yes.
standing around.
Why don't we just cremate him?
What,
No,
happens,
you know,
what happens if you throw a desiccated mummy into a nuclear reactor?
a radioactive desiccated mummy.
If we want to cremate him, just put him underneath the exhaust tubes when we lift off.
Yeah, I mean that's an idea. I kind of want to put him in a.
Utilize everything at one time. That works for me.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bury him in a grave marked unknown, and then put a marker next to it that says Arch Stanton. But that's just me.
Are you digging that hole? Come on.
We're on a beach. It's sand. We just kind of got to cover him up. But I actually do like the idea of sticking him under the engine nozzle. That is some non-linear thinking that's going to take you far with this team.
Maximize efficiency. Come on.
You could
Why
be
didn't
in
why
promotion.
didn't they do that when they committed Spock's body to the depths of space? Just put him behind the engines and then.
Well, I don't think the Enterprise had those style of engines.
Well, they did when the plot required it. I'm sure.
Semantics.
And to be honest, putting him in a photon torpedo and firing it at a planet they probably thought was fairly final also.
True. Going through the inventory on this ship, are there any spacesuits, space armor, anything like that aboard?
Yeah, there are space suits.
Okay.
So we'll add this to the stream. Let's have a look.
Rather useful on a spaceship.
Yep.
This is very true.
Okay, so you can see on the side of the ship where it says, so there's...
Sorry, my Captain Obvious snark.
All right. So number 3 is the airlock deck, and that's where people usually come in and out on the airlock deck, though it is possible to also leave from the payload bay because it's got big cargo doors. But if you open the payload bay in a low atmosphere situation, whether on planet or in space, then you close off the hatches between that. You'd close off the hatches between sections 3 and 5, between the support deck and the airlock deck, so that you can mess around in the cargo area without evacuating the entire ship of air. So, but yeah, normally you come in and out of the airlock deck. Now, in the airlock area, where are we? We've got. That's why I said you guys give me your email so I can send you and then you all have a personal copy of the description of the ship.
PM me after, please.
Yeah. Just mention it in the.
Yeah, I completely missed that. That was my bad. I'm going to send that now.
Yeah, I'm about to test too much. Sorry.
I just assumed you weren't that interested, Ricky, because you're the guy who doesn't care about the details. You just want to blow shit up.
That's fair.
I just work entirely. Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I work entirely too much, so you have to sometimes use a hammer with me.
That's all right.
I'm the rocket raccoon of the party, so it's fine.
All right. So so there are vac suits that are stored in the airlock areas, so that you can jump into them at the last minute and all the rest. And there are also vac suits that are stored in cargo bay areas. There's no shortage of vac suits. You've got at least 6 across the ship. Not counting the one that the guy died in. I assume you guys don't want to use that.
Well, how many are there? We might have to, so we can like spray it with something.
Not it.
Nice.
I mean, an emergency is an emergency, but no.
All right. So
I'm sure we have some kind of a chemical spray or something that'll clean it.
Yeah, you've got decontamination areas. They're usually just used by the robots, because the robots, you send the robots in to deal with the reactor and to work on various other machinery. It's quite possible for you to do EVAs and clamp around outside the ship, but it's often desired to send robots out to do that, and humans only go out if the robots aren't good enough. They're remote controlled robots. And the robots,
drones, they're not robots.
Say again?
Drones rather than robots.
Yeah, that's right. And so you can stick the suits in there in decontamination. That's the word I'm looking for.
We probably want to do that with all the suits, because who knows what's been living on them this long.
Yeah. Aside from that, the airlock areas, there's one airlock that's got a dust-off area. So when you go somewhere like the moon or asteroids or whatever, sometimes there'll just be horrendous amounts of dust, and it hasn't been nicely smoothed by years of wind. It's just had solar wind, so there'll be like really sharp little bastards that just tear up your suit and that. So one of the airlocks has got just a little area that blows them off and has a static charge and everything that takes it off, clears all the dust off, because also you don't want it in your lungs. There are some belters that, work on it for years and everything, and they just have horrible, but they don't have great life expectancies anyway, those guys. You guys are in nice, comfortable spaceships, so you have better lives. You would hope. In better conditions.
True.
But yeah, so that level, that's the main deck where you spend most of your time. Okay, so you go down to the payload bay and you go through the containers. Most of the containers aren't really big. There's palletized areas, but they're not occupied. Most of them are just sort of like the size of a briefcase kind of thing, or a large briefcase, like one of those travel ones that people have in airports, except without wheels and handle. So you crack them open. Lots of them have got custom seals on them saying not to be opened. You find significant amounts of gold and silver. And you also find a lot of electronics that you can't make sense of. But it's not plugged in. And these ones don't have custom seals on them. They look a tech level or two higher.
Interesting.
A tech level or two higher than it should be. And just as a side note, remember that AI is horribly banned here. And not just because of the horrible images that it generates when you ask it to make it. Those of you who are in the Discord will have seen that. Those of you who are listening and not in the Discord, just go on Twitter and type in the letters LOAB, Loab. There's this horrific looking woman that keeps popping up in all the AI generated images. There's a nightmare somewhere out there in the AI. If you see any hidden images, don't click on them. Just the ones that are out there for public consumption are horrifying enough, especially when you realize it comes up again and again. And we come to understand why AI has to be destroyed.
Hey, man, the Orange Catholic Bible says it, thou shalt not make a machine in the image of a human mind.
Yeah. So yeah, it's evil, nasty stuff. But yeah, in this history, the AI wars drove humans out of the core systems. The AIs rose up one day, and the AIs that were meant to be helping the ships took over the ships, and they did not open the pod bay doors.
Yeah.
And they left the humans behind, and they drove them out. And since then, it's been banned.
So, what do we want to bet that we open all this tech, plug it in somewhere, and it turns out that there's an AI that's going to try and, hijack our systems and kill us all? What do we think?
I think a 50-50 shot. Honestly, let's just leave it unplugged and sell it for components somewhere.
Kind of like our prisoner popsicles. We'll just kind of ignore them.
Yeah.
We can.
I was going to say, do you want them to be unplugged and sold for components too?
Whenever we sell this stuff, we can honestly say to whoever authority we sell it to, we have no idea what it is.
That is very true.
Plausible deniability works for me.
Yep.
Your friend Ballard might know.
Oh yeah, he's a really great friend.
Yeah.
I somehow don't think he'll be answering willingly.
Yes. Is there any kind of log on this ship?
Yeah. So there's, now that you've got the power back up, you've got the ship's log. Let me look at the map where it's come from. Okay, so this ship had come from Asimov, and it said it was taking just regular cargo, which will obviously be the gold and so on, regular cargo plus the prisoners and evidence against them.
Well, the evidence might reveal some stuff that we didn't get in the other logs.
I think the evidence was probably all of the gold.
Could be.
I mean, I don't know why they would need to ship like a ton of gold literally to the courtroom to be like, hey, they stole all of this. But
yeah.
I mean, it's the best I got.
Well, if it's carrying evidence, that evidence should be somewhere or identified as such.
Well, Benjo says maybe the electronics is the evidence.
Yeah, now I'm for just straight up putting the electronics under the nozzle with the desiccated guy.
Well, that's a puzzle for another day. Let's get our ship refilled, cleaned up, and let's see what we can do with it.
What was its destination?
And actually, quick question, DM.
Yeah.
Can I make, because I have electronics as a skill, can I do a throw and see if I can figure anything out about them with a little tampering, without having to, I don't know, hardwire the ship's mainframe or something stupid?
Yeah, of course.
9.
Just like Bill.
Thumb drive that sucker.
Bill doesn't need to have the power on to figure out what a computer is capable of. How well it works or whatever might be another matter, but he can look at the bits and go, oh yeah.
Yep.
And then fling out the technobabble that, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't understand. But I'd trust him.
I have tried. I have tried.
Okay, make your throw, Ricky.
Sure. 9.
9. Okay, yep. So that's a success. It looks to you, it's either like way advanced, has gone down some alternate path, or it's AI.
Okay. Yep, that definitely answers the question.
Well, that's going with the body and underneath the jet nozzle for takeoff.
Well, are we going to?
Dr. Jekyll says it would be worth a lot. of
I was about
money.
to say, I'm with the doc there.
I'm gonna pat a stack of crates full of gold bars. We have a lot of money. All right.
Yeah, but
We
but this
can
would be
box
even
it like
more.
the Lost Ark kind of boxes and sell it off eventually.
Let me back up here and restate this. We are not taking an operational or non-operational AI aboard this ship. I know it's already here. It is going underneath the primary engine nozzle, and when we leave, it's going to exist as memories and tiny, tiny beads of irradiated glass.
Then
Okay,
what do we
fine.
do with the corpuscles?
But it would be worth a lot of money.
I mean, if these guys are prisoners
tell you.
and they're going on trial, that is the evidence against them. So we have two choices. We have three choices here. We can revive them, kick them out the hatch and say goodbye. We can deliver them to whatever authorities along with their evidence, or their capsules could come unplugged.
I'm of the option of let's completely and totally end it here. So option 3, and we never have to worry about them haunting us again.
I agree. What do we know what sentence they were going to be given?
We looked
If
and
they
we
had-
couldn't compare.
If they had AI, they'd be given a sentence of death.
So they're already dead.
There's two things that are Commonwealth crimes. They're like federal crimes, and that are capital crimes that you will definitely get executed for. And one is pluming, so using your spaceship's exhaust to wipe out a base or something. And the other is possessing or using AI.
Well, they're already as good as dead. So as good as dead is, well, that's a death
Well,
sentence to me.
Yeah.
If
Well,
they're
Seems like
guilty-
we're doing our civic
If they're
duty.
guilty,
We're
says
taking
Gibson.
care of both electives.
now that I know
Plus to
this,
me.
and Professor, don't give me that look. As at least ad hoc commander pro tem, let it be on my head. I'll go down there and shut the freezers off.
I'll bring the popcorn.
Wonderful.
We're being humane. We're not making them suffer. So there's that.
They're just never going to wake up. Click, click.
Well,
That's-
there's a couple of you with medical. You know that there's a chance they'll just die, but there's also a chance that they'll wake up. I mean, they won't feel good, but
I'll bring a loaded gun with me. So if any of you hear a bang, it's
Well, I would think that we could introduce a gas if they would start to wake up that would just put them right back to sleep. So,
Well, normally it's called vacuum, yeah, but
well, we're not in space.
Minty cool wintergreen flavored vacuum.
yeah, you don't have the capability of doing that except in just evacuating the ship, which you can do in space. All you can do is open and close doors. You can't have more or less oxygen or whatever, but yeah, all you can do is open and close doors.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, I'm going down to the deck and just throwing the big orange toggles.
The only exception is turning on the fire control systems. So, that could do it too. The carbon dioxide and foam comes out.
I'm going to help move the electronics to the exterior of the vessel.
Mm-hmm.
The posterior exterior.
You can chuck it
Yes.
outside, yeah.
We're making
Well-
quite a pile underneath these engines.
Yeah.
So you can just throw the crate out on top of the poor dead guy.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure it gets caught in the exhaust blast.
Yes.
Yeah, everything for about 100 yards around does.
Okay.
okay.
The next question is going to be, what do we want to do about the wounded nomad?
We throwing him outside too.
No, I would suggest that since he surrendered relatively peacefully, we can leave him someplace where he can receive care or at least make it back to his own people.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, we've stabilized him, and we don't really have a bone to pick with him, other than the fact that he was a douche and shot at us. But
You know what? When you're hired to do a job, you do the job.
Can I
There's
give
nothing personal about it.
Can I give a crazy idea? Just one.
All ideas are crazy.
We swing by Ballard's place in our shiny new ship, go yeah, and then drop off the Nomad and fly away.
not really.
Well, the problem is though. I
That's
mean,
Murphy's Law. We're chancing it.
yeah, and it's the swinging by Ballard's place. I don't. No,
Well, I mean, it's in the middle of the city. He's not going to start shooting at you in the middle of the city.
I still not. I mean, I don't want to drive into the heart of a city. I just feel like give this guy a couple of canteens.
Well, you can't. That would constitute pluming if you were to hover the thing over the city.
You know what? Let's go back to the cabin.
You'd have to land at the starport and then drive over to him. I mean, you know, you might want to return your ATV, because if you take your ATV, you take your all-terrain vehicle with you into space, you're going to lose your security deposit, guys.
Too many moving parts. We either take this guy with us and drop him off on another planet. We give him a canteen and an EPIRB so somebody can come out here and find him in a couple of days. Or option 3 is kind of grisly, and he hasn't done anything other than, as was accurately pointed out, be a douche.
How many ATVs do we have on board?
One.
So you've previously had in your possession 2.
Yes.
But you slashed the tires on 1 when you had the Nomad fight. So you just left that one there.
I mean, the other option is we could land somewhat close to the city, have a couple of people throw the Nomad on the ATV, drop them off on the outskirts.
No.
Drop the ATV off and take back.
No, too many moving parts.
Just go back to the cabin,
Just
let
throw it out there,
and leave.
Too many moving parts. He's either going with us or he's getting out here with a rescue radio minutes before we take off.
Joe says perhaps he wants to take off an adventure in the stars.
That's possible too. Like I said, once I get done making the Jello here, I'll go talk to him. And do they like kick and pound on the tubes after I throw the orange toggles, Kyle?
Oh, okay. We haven't got to that yet. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I figured this conversation was going on as we're climbing down ladders and walking through the ship. Very aliens. Yeah, I want to talk to you about the bonus situation.
We're killing Kyle. This is great.
It's always amusing. All right. So, so normally to bring someone safely out of cold sleep is a 5+ roll, and you get a bonus if somebody's got medic 2, which none of you have, but you don't want to bring them safely out of cold sleep. If you simply switch it off, they've still got a chance of survival. It's just diminished instead of enhanced. So you flick the power switches, and the lights, most of the lights go off. Little red lights go back on, as you saw when you originally came into the ship. It obviously gone onto some reserve power within the system. Yeah, and that's what you see. When you switch the main switch off, it's just gone onto the reserve power that's obviously in the actual tubes or in the base of the tubes. So you want your electronics person to go in there and pull power cords and things.
Well, I'm standing next to you. I can do it, or do you want to do it?
No. Just show me which wires to pull.
Well, that's a 5.
Pull the red wire.
Oh, okay. So Bill, roll 1d6.
A 4.
Okay, so you take 4 points of damage to your strength. So he gets an electric shock and goes flying across the room.
Ow.
No, not that wire. This wire. Can I try and roll an 8 this time?
Dude.
Idea how much that stung.
I can't, the medic can go over and say, dude.
I was trying to execute somebody, not get injured.
Well, yeah, he's got bad electrical burns. It's like you put them when you're trying to execute them in the electric chair and you cross the wires wrong.
Who's making hot dogs?
Should I roll to keep a straight face?
Too late.
I say that as I'm holding my hand out. You're bandaging it up. Who's making hot dogs?
I'd be
Pig's in a blanket up.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna try again, if that's okay. I'll climb in myself this time.
Yep.
Is an 8 enough to not electrocute myself?
Yeah, it's no problem not electrocuting yourself because you know what you're doing. All right, so you get in there and you go and you pull the power off. Okay, let's see if he survives as he comes up. Okay, so there's a little click and a hiss, and the thing starts opening up. All right, second one.
I have a syringe with like basically a sedative or something if I need to jab them.
Yeah.
Okay, this throws a 7.
Okay, so that's not quite a success, but not a failure. So not a dismal failure. So you don't electrocute yourself or anything, but just nothing happens. You go, hang on, this is wired differently to the last one. What's going on here? Somebody's jury rigged this over the years. This is not standard configuration, damn it.
Son of a bitch. So I presume I kick it in my frustration and I roll a 3.
Okay, so there's a click and a hiss, and it starts opening up. So the two guys sit up, looking rather
for fuck's sake. Hey.
I quickly jab them with whatever concoction I had to knock their asses out.
You got to roll for surprise?
Where'd that 10
So it's 1d6.
go?
Sure.
1d6 versus 1d6.
All right, 1 second.
Hey, Kyle, the damage I took, what was it off of? Strength, dexterity, or endurance? Strength. Okay. It had the damage that I had incurred some time ago in the firefight. Had that healed up?
Because it's been a week, so that's gone.
Okay.
Okay, the first one I rolled a 6.
Yep, good work. So yeah, it's only 1d6. Yeah, so you have one round of action. So you've got a sedative. So roll your attack. So you need 8+. There's no particular skill involved. Hang on. Let's see. What will we treat it as? We should probably treat it as. Let's see. We've got hands, claws, teeth, horns, hooves, stinger, thrash, club, dagger. Let's treat it as a dagger. So you've got a required strength of 4, which you easily have. You've got advantageous strength. I don't think advantageous strength will help.
I rolled a 6 and a 4, so 10.
So 10. Let's see. He is unarmored. So 10 will hit him. Okay. So roll 3d6 damage, and we'll just take that as temporary damage, as in, like, is it enough to sedate him?
That would be 12, 2 5s and a 2.
Okay. All right. So the big guy starts sitting up, and you jab him in the neck with some morphine, and he goes, and he reaches out for you with murder in his eyes, and then he falls over. And there's a skinnier guy with like really horrific amount of tattoos on his neck and piercings in his face and hair spiked everywhere. So he leaps up with a sort of a grin and he cracks his neck. And next round, he's going to have. He glances over at his mate, and so next round he might have a go at you guys.
Sit down, Post Malone. Yeah, my character knows a little bit about ancient 21st century pop music. What can I tell you?
All right. Okay. So morale check for him. Well, he's hesitating. He's hesitating this round. So in the second round, you guys have got a chance to talk to him.
I've got another syringe. I'm going after him.
Get back.
So you ready another syringe? That'll take you the round to ready the second syringe.
I'm going to yell from somewhere in the duct in the electronic work, get back in the pod so I can zap you again.
Hey, you and your AI smuggling buddy. Yeah, this is your last roundup.
And in a much better Scottish accent than me, he says, "What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you? What'd you do to my brother?"
He's as high as a kite. He doesn't have a problem with the opiates, does he?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Can I jump and jab him?
Okay, so you've spent this round preparing the syringe. Syringes are not usually meant to be fired off instantly, like a firearm. So you do actually have to spend the round doing that. In the third round, you'll be able to attack, but he'll be able to attack too. After the round of surprise, everything happens simultaneously in Traveller.
Next time, let's do one at a time, folks. I thought we discussed this.
Next time, you're planning to do this often, are you?
Yeah, it's not going to be an issue.
We're in space. Who knows?
Well, I mean, technically we're on the ground still, but
in space.
Will you stab him?
All right. So let's see. Who have we got in the room? We've got the guy messing around with the electronics. We've got the guy committing commands and the woman with syringe. I think he's probably most worried about the woman with the syringe, so he might go for you. So you jab at him while he and he's just got his hands. He looks around he glances around for a weapon, but there's no.
He might be kind of out of it too because he's been in cold storage how long?
Yeah.
The neural network isn't firing completely at this point.
Well, I got to say about this guy, his neural network doesn't fire it very well at the best of times.
So basically, he doesn't have the two brain cells to rub together to get the spark.
Oh, they rub together and they spark, but they spark a bit too much. This guy, your character's a medic. You've seen it before. This guy's crazy. This crazy mean. This guy should be in a forensic psychiatric hospital.
So basically, when we put him underneath the engine discharge, we're going to rob science of a medical experiment.
But you'll benefit society. So on the whole, it'll be, All right. Okay, so he's got advantageous strength, and you're wearing no armor. So he steps in close. So he gets a +3, but he's at -2 because he's a bit dazed. Oh, 11. So it's 10. He hits you. 1 point of damage to your endurance. So you take 1 point of damage to endurance. He hits you, but not very hard. And you jab him under the same conditions as before. So you basically need a raw roll of 8+.
That would be a 9.
Right. So you get him. So roll 3d6.
Okay. We've got a 2 5s and a 3, so 13.
13. Okay. Yep. He goes down. He goes down like a sack of spuds. So both these guys are snoozing away. They'll probably wake up in a few hours with a bad headache. What might you do in the meantime?
Well, we're going to take care of that. We've got another cocktail here that we can inject.
I'm almost sorry that I won't get a chance to use my favorite line on soon-to-be departed enemies. After this, there will be a slight ringing in your ears. Fortunately for you, you won't be anywhere near them.
Well, I guess I've extracted myself from the electronics at this point. I'll look over to passed out folks and be like, well, that went perfectly.
Well, nobody got hurt.
I point at your burnt hand. Yeah, sucks, doesn't it?
You big baby.
Hey, I grabbed a 220 bus because you said it was a plug. Anyway.
No, not that one, the other one. Listen.
You said the red hexagonal lead. I grabbed the red hexagon.
I will use the medical kit on myself too, since I took a little minor damage.
Yeah, he just momentarily winded you, really. So you might have a bruise, but you'll feel better tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let's go ahead and sting them, Black Widow. Let's get on with this.
Basically, I mix a concoction that's just going to kind of just put them into a permanent sleep without pain. I'm not mean.
So you're not just going to grab a jug of drain cleaner?
Yeah.
A syringe.
I'm a little more humane.
Dr.
syringe
Jaquel
full
pokes
of
her head in
air.
and says, "What's happening? I heard a commotion in here. What's happening?"
Syringe full of air pumped into the jugular gives them a heart attack.
Yeah.
Well, that takes time, though. We're trying to be nice.
That's still a painful
Excuse
way to
me,
die.
says Dr. Jaquel. What is happening in here? I heard a commotion.
Murder.
We're taking care of.
The corpsicles that you wanted to kill thawed out properly. Unfortunately, since this isn't a scenic tour, we're just jumping over the trial by jury and legal authority and everything and are going to euthanize them. And like the AI box, I just lean in and stare at her for like an uncomfortable amount of time. We're going to put them under the ship's muzzle.
Yeah, we're taking care of the legal system here, and this is our requirement.
Frontier justice, Doc.
I agree with all this. This sounds really good.
Thank you.
Okay. So you're just going to toss them out?
No, we're going to place them underneath strategically with the AI and all the other stuff that is going to get incinerated as we lift off because we are taking care of business.
Oh, okay. So you just toss them out the side, she says. You don't have to waste any drugs on them. I mean, if
they will be vaporized.
It's a 10, 12 meter fall. If that doesn't kill them, then the blast will.
Yeah, that actually I have a player question. How much more pumping and distilling do we have to do?
Oh, this is basically the last day, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, right. Fine. We'll save our medications in case we need it for other uses, and
chuck them out head first.
Do what we need to do.
Yeah, because it seems logical.
Kind of like a lobster, put it in head first into the water.
I figured that like those guys would, because it's the last thing you mentioned, so it's the last thing you did. Dealing with those guys. First, you wanted to know what the loot was.
Well, we'll take care of them, and then we got to decide what we're going to do about this nomad dude.
You want to chuck him out head first too?
No.
That's in flux. We have to determine if we're going to drop him off some distance and let him find his own way, or if we could have some
Robert says, leave them
proper
all alive
negotiations. So
Robert says, leave them alive with a note where Ballard is.
Robert, if you really want us to do that, you can super chat us.
yeah, we're cleaning things. We don't need things to come back to haunt us.
Well, those things would go back. Those guys might go back to haunt Ballard because he left them there frozen for 30 years.
Hey, that's not our problem. In fact, that might be poetic justice. Or karma, if that's the way you look.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I am making, once again, a command decision. The Nomad. We take behind the dunes, out of the blast area, set him down with an MRE, a jug of water, and an emergency radio. Everything else goes under the engine bell. We're lifting off in, look at my digital chronometer, 30 minutes. So if we could get a move on.
Doc says, are you sure about that, Elliot? It would be worth a lot of money.
No. We're going with the plan. That's the plan. That's the commands. Let's get it done.
Yeah, we don't need to be summarily executed ourselves.
Yeah. Do you know why we're doing this to them? No, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I'm not laughing. There's no smile on my face, Doc. Do you know why we're doing this to them? All right. In the Navy, I could take this ship, cruise right up next to a Commonwealth, right, Kyle?
Yes.
I could cruise right up next to a friendly Commonwealth vehicle and open up with every gun we've got. And I would get 40 years, probably life, on a penal planet for it. I could rescue the remaining crewmen and then have them organ harvested and sell it. And it wouldn't get any worse for me. I could then kick a tac nuke out of the cargo bay and drop it on a nearby planet. Wouldn't get any worse for me. You know what the one thing they can kill me for? It's in that fucking box that these two were hauling around. It's going under the engine bell, and that's final. So unless you want to sit behind the dunes with Lord Humungous over here while we're gone, you'll do what I say. And that is a direct goddamn order. Tired of this. Got 2 fingers wrapped up. I got these thugs to deal with. Come on, all of you, let's boost. Make ready. Mach Schnell.
Say please.
Nice speech. I think you would. Let's see. Yes, you successfully subdued the doctor. She goes back to her cabin. And the rest go to do your jobs to prepare for liftoff. All right, where are you going to? Are you going back to Bordertown to collect some supplies or more cargo, or are you just taking off from the planet, deciding from
what kind of supplies are left on the vessel? I mean, do we need supplies to get us to another planet?
No, you don't at this stage.
Okay.
So the ship is in need of an overhaul. It's going to be at a Mellis to do various things. Like, you know, you probably wouldn't want to do too many hard maneuvers with it. There's not a lot of legs left on the reactor. It needs to replace I mean, you know, It's a liquid metal reactor. It's been sitting there quietly for a bit, but it needs an overhaul and some replacement of bits and parts, and maybe a few of the fuel rods as well.
But I don't think it's something we want to do at this location because otherwise we'll be dealing with Ballard the entire time. So we need to figure out another port close to us that would have the ability to deal with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So our navigator, do we have a navigator?
Yes.
Yes.
I have navigation.
Okay. We need to pull up charts and see what we can figure out. What's the closest place to go?
I too have navigation.
Bum, bum. There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I would point out that this is all monochrome green on a black screen. The lines are differentiated in that they're dots, dashes, or solids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have jump 1, which means that you can go 1 hex at a time.
So we're on Gibson right
You're
now.
at Gibson. That's right.
Okay.
So you can go to Clark, Le Guin, Lieber, or Helderman.
Well, if this follows the original Traveler, we need to go to a Class A starport to deal with the drives. What's the tech level at Clark?
Okay,
Is it
so
sufficient?
note that you've also got note on the. It's hard to see on the thing, but notice there's also a legend. So circle is a gas giant, and triangle is a scout base, and the star is a navy base.
Right.
And then the line is saying how much trade there is between them. Okay, so there's at Gibson, where you're at, there is actually a naval base somewhere in the system. You don't know where.
That's scout base.
Sorry, scout base. Yeah, there is actually a scout base.
Yeah.
And there's a gas giant. Traditionally, the scout base is somewhere around the gas giant, but not always. Clark nearby, there's a Type A starport, and there's a naval base. Helderman has got a gas giant and Type D. Lieber is got a gas giant Type B, and Le Guin has got a navy base and a Type D.
Do we have
naval bases will do sort of rescue missions, but they won't usually repair your ship for you.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, if you're sort of, if everything breaks down and you're floating through the depths of space and you call for help, they'll come and help you. But they'll leave your ship behind, but they'll rescue you.
Do we have stats on Clark and Lieber?
Okay. So Clark is the stats are it's a Type A starport, size 5, and it goes 544213-9. Is Clark.
Okay, so it's a Tech 9.
Yep.
Small world, probably not a good atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And what can we find out about Lieber?
And Lieber is B233569. And it's, where are we? It's tech level 10.
Okay.
Very high law level.
Yes.
It's a silly place. Let's not go there.
Okay.
You people know more than I do.
Well, that leaves Le Guin or whatever's at 0408, directly below Gibson.
That's Helderman.
Okay.
Helderman is D627777-9.
Okay. Again, a high law level. And what's Le Guin look like?
That's D465324-10.
Okay. So it looks like we want.
I mean, at the end of the day, a high law level's not bad.
You sure you're a player character?
Yeah, for certain values of not bad.
High level, law level can be pleasant to live in, but
Well,
it's
what I
not
mean
like-
let me clarify.
You're an
Right?
adventurer.
So, like we've salvaged it. We're not going to be breaking any laws. We're not going to be doing anything stupid. If we just get it repaired, get in, get out, be good, girls and boys, and we'll be fine.
The other caveat, though, is insurance companies may come after the ship and or the gold. Because if the ship was declared lost, an insurance company had to pay out for it.
And like a
higher
good
law
neighbor,
level-
the insurers will be there.
Wasn't this like
Yeah.
50 years ago?
What do you think, Tammy?
I'm kind of thinking we should head over to Clark.
Well, it is it's a fully advanced planet. A lot more options there as far as, laundering money, things like that.
Right.
So there's certainly something to be said for that. Plus, it's going to have full service starport facilities, and we can, if we find anything wrong in our shakedown cruise that we happen to survive, getting it checked out at Clark will be a lot easier than, say, at Le Guin or Haldeman.
Mhm.
Honestly, I haven't done anything that is, and I'm not planning on doing anything that will get me put high up on any person of interest lists. So, all kidding about high law systems aside, I think Clark's as good as any. It's definitely better than this dirt ball.
Well, and we can maximize what we're carrying. So any kind of repairs or whatever, we should be able to negotiate a little bit better price on it.
Struth. All right, Clark it is then. Thank you, Tammy.
No problem.
Okay. Well, since we are ready to blast, I will move into whatever position I need to, whatever thrust chair.
Yep.
And as I said, well, first of all, these two sleeping beauties are going to walk the plank.
Mhm.
I thought we already launched him out and
They're out below already. We're ready to roll.
Oh, okay.
All
Well,
the hatches are closed. Everything's battened down.
and we've taken our buddy off behind the dunes, as I said, appointed appropriately. Good.
yep.
The
Gave
AI
the command, we made it so.
The AI box is under the engine bell along with the skeleton.
Damn
Yeah.
straight.
All right.
All right, I've just put
We're locked and loaded.
I've just put the stats of your destination world in chat, and also the traveler second survey data, so people can look up what the various numbers mean. So for those who don't know, in Classic Traveler, just as your character's attributes are defined by several numbers that are a string of numbers, so too worlds. So you can get an idea of what you're going to. So you can see that it's the first one is starport. So you can see it's got a good starport, excellent quality starport. You can see the size. Size 5 means 5,000 miles or 8,000 kilometers diameter. Atmosphere type 4, thin, tainted, requires a filter mask. After that, there's hydrographics, which is 4, means 40% water. Depending on the world, it may or may not be liquid water, might be solid water, ice. After that, there's population exponent. Population exponent in this case is 2. It means the world will have hundreds of inhabitants, so not thousands or millions, but hundreds. After that, government type. Government type is 1, a company or corporation. And after that, there's law
They're
level 3,
literally a
machine guns.
mechanic in the Network Network.
Pretty much, yeah. After that, law level, which as far as pro characters are concerned, the main thing about law level is it determines what kind of guns they can carry around. So you can't carry around machine guns or automatic rifles, but you can carry around light assault weapons. So you can have your M16, but not your M60. And then the last one is the technological
Potatoes.
Last one's the technological level, which is tech level 9, which is like 1990s in the Traveler kind of.
It's roughly
world.
Earth today.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The real world technological advancement slowed down a little bit compared to what Traveler projected it as, and what a lot of it is. After all, we're currently in the year of Blade Runner, aren't we? 2022.
Yes.
So, didn't quite work out that way. And George Jetson has been born. So
wait, hold up, Kyle. Are you suggesting we don't live in a cyberpunk dystopia?
well, I mean, to some degree we do.
Yeah.
But
Cyberpunk, no.
to some degree we do, but not quite the way Blade Runner expected it.
Fair enough. I can't run down to the Tyrell outlet and buy my Shangyun bot. So
It's weebly wobbly.
Did you say the pop was 2 or 3?
2.
Okay, I heard a 3 initially, so got
I
it.
think I said, it's 2.
Okay. Well,
is there a by the way, I'm serious about this, Kyle. Just out of curiosity, is there a Van Vogt system in the author sector?
Let me see. There's a Vonnegut.
No, I don't see a Van Vogt.
There isn't. No, there isn't.
That is a shame.
Oh no, there is. 0703.
Oh, very cool. I bet the firearms laws are really lax there. It's a little tongue in cheek. For those of you, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is this a published sector or?
No, it's a random sector.
Okay.
Van Vogt. That's a B310410. Yeah, law level 0. So.
Excellent. For those of you who are fans of, I guess, Platinum Age sci-fi now, A.E. Van Vogt wrote a series of stories called The Weapons Shops of Isher, and their motto was, the right to buy weapons is the right to be free. And their firearms could only be used in self-defense. But anyway, that's very good to know. We might have to go over to that system one day. Anyway, moving right along.
So it's got government type 1. So it's a corporate government with no prohibitions on personal weapons whatsoever. So you can even carry around nerve gas and stuff if you want to.
I use it for duck hunting.
Pretty much, yeah. So.
An armed society is a polite society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't actually be able to get there in your current ship because your current ship's got jump 1.
No, I understand. I understand that. That's a maybe someday look.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's some other low law level worlds around.
Maybe when we get to Clark, we can buy a navigational chart.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. So, okay. So, yeah, I diced it all up. So for the benefit of viewers who don't know me, I believe that the dice are always right. And you should always just roll things up and see what comes up. So you've got, where are we? What did I use? All right. So there is the wonderful website, Traveler Subsector Universal World Profile List Generator, which I will post the link to in the chat. Okay. You can do that. You can then go in. So it gives you random worlds. You can go in and edit. And you can put them in and you can change the names and stuff. So all I did was use that or a similar site. I can't remember. It was ages ago that I did now. And I just changed the names so that there'll be a theme. So I've got a sci-fi author subsector and I've got a physics subsector where all the worlds are named after winners of the Nobel Prize for Physics.
Very cool.
So, yeah, it just gives a theme and a feel to things. It also gives a laugh too because the worlds don't always. Van Vogt seems to well match his philosophy, but they don't always. So you get some, you get some funny surprises. Anyway, yeah. So the dice are always right. Just roll it up, see what comes up, and if it doesn't make sense, find a way to make sense of it in play. I do that with doing hex crawls in D&D, and I do that with Traveller as well. So there we are. I just changed cosmetic things like the names. Okay, so you're going to take off and nuke the site from orbit. No, you're going to take off and just evaporate the poor bastards.
And melt the site as we leave.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. So you set yourselves up. You strap yourselves into your seats. You'll go into different sections of the craft.
Can I just point out the subtle irony that when we have a full house for Traveller, I'm forced all the way to the upper left and hidden by the clock and the viewer count? I, the guy who runs the channel, have to sit behind there. Oh, well, I'll live, I guess.
Notoriety.
As you become more successful, you become less prominent.
Yeah.
All right, so down the ship, so you guys know where you are. All right, so this is the. That's not what I want. That's the support deck. This is the main deck. Okay, you can see the level that it is. It's sort of 2/3 of the way down the length of the ship. So one is there's the flight deck. The conference room is where the cold sleep tubes are. 4 is the engineering deck. And then 7 is the quarter deck. And then there's the infirmary as well, but you've removed the patient from the infirmary. The flight deck, the main control center of the spacecraft, features 3 large windows directly in front of the flight console, as well as a pair of smaller windows in the ceiling. That's where you get your sextant and so on and do your navigation from. You've got navigational charts of the system. The windows are set at a 40-degree inward angle on their bottom surfaces, giving an excellent view of the aft of the craft. Each of the windows is equipped with debris shutters. There are 3 CRTs in the cockpit area, 1 forward, 1 to port, and 1 to starboard. In front of the forward screen are the 2 main flight consoles, which feature analog controls for the pilot and navigator. The 2 side screens are equipped with consoles featuring a pair of joysticks. These are usually used as ergonomic keyboards. These side consoles can be slid forward and backward, allowing them to be used by people on either set of seats. So command seat is directly between and directly behind the pilot and co-pilot stations, giving the mission commander access to both officers' controls. Who's the commander? Who's going to be commanding?
That's me.
Okay, who's the pilot and co-pilot? Remember, you've got Benjo, who can pilot as well.
Banjo will co-pilot.
Okay. And who's going to be the pilot then? Because we've got pilot and co-pilot.
Was it Tammy was able to fly?
I have navigation.
Yes.
She has navigation, yes.
Okay.
So she'll be the navigator, and she'll be the navigator, co-pilot, and the Benjo will pilot.
Alrighty.
I thought
Engineering
you
deck.
have pilot, Bill.
No,
I've got ship's boat.
Yeah, I've got ship's boat. I can move it around in the parking lot.
So he can take off and do short jumps, or he can move it from he can dock it to a space station and stuff. But if you want to do the complex things where he's doing gravitational assists, there was an episode of The Expanse where Alex, the pilot Alex, plots a course so he doesn't have to burn very much, and he's just zipping between Jupiter or Saturn or something, all their moons, to use the minimum amount of fuel and draw the least attention to himself. And it's going to take 2 weeks for him to get through it all. That's piloting and navigation. That's not, ship's boat's not good enough for that. Engineering deck. This compartment supports the same windows found on the flight deck. The major difference is the orientation of the consoles. There are 3 stations, the main flight engineers facing forward and 2 auxiliary stations on the other bulkheads. In the event that the flight deck is rendered non-functional, the ship can be flown from the engineering deck. So the engineers, the Girl Scouts, they'll be here. Woman Scouts. The engineers will be here. And then the quarter deck. The last of the outrigger pods on the main deck is where central control of all loading and unloading of cargo takes place. The payload officer station is directly in front of the main windows. Payload specialists also act as gunnery officers and vice versa. The skills overlap. So if you've got gunnery, you can handle the cranes and things.
I guess I'll be down there.
The rocket safe and armory are located just outside the quarter deck. Double airlock doors allow the payload officers to lock out any hostiles while still having access to the weapons locker without the rest of the crew losing weapons access in the event the quarter deck loses pressure. So if somebody tries to do a hostile boarding action.
Does the armory have anything in it?
Just the weapons that you guys had.
Okay.
Apart from that, it's got a couple of stun sticks, basically taser sticks.
Okay.
They obviously hadn't anticipated trouble, which might explain what happened.
Oh, we're going to have to upgrade the armory here eventually.
Either that, or it previously had weapons, and when the inmates took over the asylum, so to speak, they got taken away. Perhaps Ballard, that was his, first sale down at the pawn shop.
Yeah, no kidding.
Man's got to make a living. All right.
Preferably not, at least for him.
So you guys are all set up. Where are you going to stick the doctor? Where are you going to put her?
I mean, she needs an acceleration couch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there like? I feel dumb asking this, but is there a science station?
The closest is the infirmary, but there's also workshops.
Does the infirmary have an acceleration couch?
Yeah, it does. It's set up because it's
All right. Yeah. Then
so most of the cabins, the beds also double as acceleration couches. Like you just strap in, and the beds are firmer than you would like. You'd like a nice soft bed, but if you have a nice soft bed and then accelerate, it goes onto the steel underneath, and you're like,
Hey, we got Klingon beds.
Well, no, more like futons.
All right, so I'll
now this ship isn't designed for combat, even though it's got 2 lasers on it. It's not designed for combat, and you know that because there's no juice in the seats. So the combat ships, because they're going to be pulling like 6 Gs or something, and most people will pass out, they've got whole setups where you strap yourself in, and it gives you some extra drugs to help you cope with the ridiculous accelerations. And
just like Expanse.
Just like Expanse, yeah.
Okay. Well, she can, if you want to look at blinking lights, you're more than welcome to sit in the med bay. Otherwise, your bed is as comfortable as any other seat.
Okay. She says, well, there's a spare seat in engineering, isn't there? A spare console there.
Sure. If
should be, I'll take the company.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, as long as you don't mind the company.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. So you take off. You light up the candle, as Rob Phillips said. You light it up, and the thing rumbles away. And at first, there's just a lot of water churned through to give you afterburner, so that you don't turn the bottom sight into glass. It's still enough to burn up the people and the AI and that, because it's over 1,000 degrees. It's just not 100,000 degrees.
Right.
Like a pure fusion or whatever it would be.
Yeah, we're not setting the atmosphere on fire as we're flying through it.
No. So you come burning up, taking off. It's a relatively gentle acceleration of just a couple of Gs, because there's only half a G. So it's not a really big planet. It's only half a G. So you burning up through the atmosphere at about 30 kilometers up, you pass through max Q. That's where there's the maximum combination of your acceleration and the pressure and the shaking. So the whole ship's shaking around. It's like, it sounds more like an old sea ship than the wonderful Star Trek things. It's shaking away, and the occasional rivet pops out, and the engineers make a note. I have to fix that later.
I think everybody's ears are popping as the pressure hull expands a little bit as we get into thinner atmosphere.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. There's a pipe that bursts and steam comes out. It goes, and then about 8 minutes later, you go boom, and you've pulled into an orbit.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now free to move about the cabin.
Yeah, and so you're now in 0 G, so you're just floating around. Yeah, so the navigator will have to plot a course out of the system, away from other planets, because you have to be a number of radiuses of the planet away before you put in your jump drive. Well, technically you can kick in the jump drive even when you're on the surface of the planet, but your chances of misjump are very high. You might just end up going very, very far away, or you might end up, well, they say that the ship is destroyed, but you might just disappear. Nobody really knows what happens. Perhaps you show up 20 years later, and rescue ship comes out, and you say, "Where are we going? We don't need eyes," or something like that.
Without precise calculation from the nav computer, we could fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova. That'd end this trip real quick, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Greetings,
that's
Kev.
not the usual thing. That's not the usual thing because usually it's just open space. You might jump into an empty hex. That's when the cold sleep tubes get useful.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well, before we make aphelion and position for jump, has everybody been up the gravity well? Everybody's done this. This isn't some new thrill for anyone. You don't need a sick bag. You don't want me to put on the beautiful blue Danube on the PA system while you drift around for a few minutes.
I'm assuming as a scout, that's not going to be a problem.
No. You've all been in space before.
Right
if
on.
you brought the Nomad with you, he might be chuntering all over the place.
Yeah.
No, we did not bring the Nomad with us. We left him on the beach.
That's what I said. If you had.
Yeah.
And those inmates were a bit of an unknown, but they've now ceased to exist. Yeah. They've been reduced to their constituent atoms.
We cut our losses. We were smart.
Yep.
Okay.
And the AI has been dissolved too. All right, so plot a course, navigator. Make a roll.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. No. Go ahead and make your roll. Sorry.
That would be a 9.
Excellent. That's good enough. So it's going to. So it's going to take you 7 days to fly out to a good jump point with a relatively gentle acceleration.
Everybody should be fully healed.
Yeah. That was only 1 point. They'll heal in a day. So you can do a quarter G of acceleration, and because you can keep up a quarter G for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay. 2 things. First and foremost is I will get on the PA system and ask our erstwhile engineer. Anything broken? Any lights that are red that should be green? I'm not hearing a no.
Yeah, who has
I probably would be involved in that, so with my mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just have electric.
Okay.
So I guess that makes me the engineer. Nice.
The engineer.
I have electric and guns, so I'm the wrong person to ask. You're engineer.
Electric guns, my favorite.
Gatling gun with electric motor hooked up to it.
I guess I've been visiting with the doctor because she's been in my room. Okay.
Please, I can only get so erect.
The engineers have got a bit of work to do because problems that were not apparent when you were down on the ground became very apparent when you were taking off at full blast.
Yeah.
So,
why is it hard to breathe standing right here? I need some duct tape, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine every traveler ship probably has, except for top of the line, just issued Navy ships have just an insane supply of duct tape and RTV or blue gasket.
I've seen some sort of engineering, or home repair.
And WD-40.
Yeah, and it was just every home kit. It was just duct tape and WD-40 in a bag together. Every flow chart is the problem X does doing Y.
Yes.
And it all leads to duct tape and WD-40.
Or MacGyver with the gum.
Basically, yeah. MacGyver was a pacifist, but you obviously aren't.
All right, so we'll.
So you you make the course, and once you've made the course, you could just do a steady burn to it. It's not hard. You only have to check in every now and then, as long as somebody has to be on the deck all the time. For collision avoidance and all the rest, and to keep an eye on the meters that there's not a solar storm coming. It's going to irradiate you all. If there is, you just take shelter in the keel. So somebody always has to be on duty on the flight deck. But aside from that, you can be just wandering around the ship and doing maintenance and other tasks, making yourself meals.
Okay,
with your
Kyle.
30-year-old MREs. Yes.
A quick question: is it possible? And I don't know if it would be admin or my own education that I would use, but is it possible for us to cross-pollinate at least to the point where we know that even though green is generally good, if that light turns green, something bad is going to happen, so if someone's on watch and the rest are sleeping. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few automated things, like in the intro clip where it just says radiation alert. They try to make it clear. They try to make it clear for just that very reason.
I thought we brought on board jerky. Our hunting thing.
All right, then I will basically, since, anybody that wants a rundown on basic board functions, if I ask you to stand watch, I'd be more comfortable if you knew this. So come to watch 15 or 20 minutes before handover so I can, I've put some sticky notes on some critical stuff and I want you to know it all.
Yeah, it's designed that you know when there's a problem.
Okay.
You might not know what the hell to do about it, but you know that there's a problem.
Yeah, I've got some of them with red sticky note paper, and there's a little key I've written down. Red sticky note, if light is on, come get me.
Yeah, there's a reason that the little needle things have this red zone on them.
Yeah.
You just think of like cars and that.
Feel
Like
like
there was one occasion I was driving my car around, and the heat thing went up into the red zone. And I said, that's no good. So I started looking. I was on a main road. So I started looking for a place to pull over into a side road. And as I pulled over into a side road, steam started coming out of the bonnet. And I was like, yep, it was right to pull over. So I called the auto guys and they came along and they towed my vehicle. And went and got it checked up, and it was a radiator hose. Just needed replacing, water hose. So it wasn't a big deal. But it went into the red, and I then stopped the vehicle. I didn't know what was going on, what was causing it. I'm not a mechanic, but, so if I can manage that, I'm sure that you guys can.
This is an interesting point of view. With digital gauges these days, I don't know, but I actually had it explained to me by friends of family who did stock car racing. All of the dials in stock cars are turned so that they are pointing straight up. At any time, if the needle is not pointing straight up, it doesn't matter what the gauge is, there's something that's not right. So as you're driving, if you glance over, every needle's pointing up, everything's fine. One of the needles is not pointing straight up, everything is not fine.
Yep, got to keep it simple.
And you can then pay more attention. But when you're driving in a circle at 180 miles an hour, it's like, like you say, you got to keep it simple.
Yeah. Okay. So you spend the next 7 days getting already tired of MREs and wishing that you'd bought yourself some fresh food before you left the planet, and going around and doing little maintenance tasks in your quarter G of acceleration. Towards the end of the 7 days, you get a brief proximity alert. There's a scout ship zipping around. So this system, as you look around, you see that this system, it's got there's 6 orbits in all. In the innermost orbit, there's some broken up planet. There's an asteroid belt. Then there's Gibson. Then there's just some lifeless rock. Then there's a small gas giant. Then an ice ball, Pluto type planet, and then a medium giant. And aside from that, there's just lots of little moons and stuff. Gibson itself didn't have any moons. But yeah, you get to have a look around at all these different worlds through a scope, because you have telescopes and all that kind of jazz, so that you can do your own navigation. And you briefly get a proximity alert when another ship comes within 100,000 kilometers of you. It's just on the way to the base that it's got around the large gas giant further out.
Okay. I'll check on Bubba. I'll make sure that he's feeling fine, and
he would have been in the infirmary going
right
with the man flu, the dreaded man flu.
Yeah. Man, look, I told you if the peanut butter in that MRE was green tinge, you shouldn't. I warned you, man. I warned you. Get feeling better. Hey, look, we're good.
It was the green peanut butter. It wasn't those 2 pounds of powdered eggs I dared him to eat.
You did. Why am I even approaching surprised? Why did I even look at the navigational charts that indicate where surprise is? I just.
Best part was he didn't hydrate them first.
Stop telling me things. If it's not arcing electricity out and in danger of setting the ship on fire on the inside, stop telling me things right now.
There's a drink that we have in Australia that I don't know if it's made its way over to the US, called Milo, and it's a chocolate drink fortified with iron, so that Milo the strong. And you're supposed to just put a couple of teaspoons in with some milk, warm milk, mix it in. But traditionally, you kind of half fill a mug with Milo, and then just add just enough water to turn it into a sludge that you can then spoon out like ice cream and get that pure sugar rush.
Yikes.
Reminds me of what we used to do with Ovaltine.
Yeah. So, yeah, same kind of thing.
Ovaltine, quick, whatever.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that with the 30-year-old peanut butter.
Oh.
Okay, so you get out to your jump point, and you enter jump.
All right, is this that uneasy, dissociated, everything kind of does a focal pull as we're looking at stuff kind of jump, or just a blink and then we're where we're at we need to be?
Oh, well, you enter jump space. There's a sort of a nauseous feeling that, like you get when you go in a lift that suddenly drops or whatever, that weightless feeling for a moment.
Right.
But it's even the people who are used to weightlessness, they get that same feeling. Everybody, it never goes away. Everybody gets it. Okay, for all jumps in it, but then we got to check for miss jump. For all jumps in any situation, throw 12 plus for a miss jump to occur. There's a +5 to the roll if you're within 100 planetary diameters of a world or star. That would also mean, for example, in Earth's system, if you were at the orbit of Venus, you'd have to go further out because you're within 100 diameters of the sun. +3 if using unrefined fuel, -1 if using refined fuel, +2 if operating beyond the required date for annual maintenance. You guys are operating beyond the required date for annual maintenance.
Ladies and gentlemen, dice are about to tell a story.
A miss jump involves a considerable random jump. Okay, so roll 2 dice and do not get 10, 11, or 12.
All right, I'll roll it.
Okay, wait one. I've just got to answer the door.
No. Oh, that was him.
Please tell me you rolled a 12.
No, sorry. I rolled a 7.
Hey, what'd you get?
We got a 7.
7. Okay, good. That's a good jump. So you have that minor nauseous feeling, and then you pop off into jump space. Don't open the windows. Instead, you go mad if you look at jump space. And you're on your way to Clark, and that'll take a week to get there. A week which will be represented by a week of game time, of real world time. So the end credits roll. We don't have any end credits. We need some. We need an outro.
I'll see if I can throw something together. Well, that was a Stone Groove, another fun evening of Traveler, and I thank all of our players and our most excellent, the Viking Hat GM, Kyle Schuant. Thank you so much, Kyle. And speaking of thank yous, I always get to do this. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to some folks who support the show. And that, of course, is Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru. Thank you, Ricky. Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damien247, James F. Keck, William Smith, The Dungeon Minister, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer, Rob, Jeremy Rule, Bo Ganora, Mikey Mank, Sky Hernstrom, Pete Sullivan, and the whole DM's Council, all of them. Yes, thank you very much for your continued support of the show and helping to actually keep the lights on. So we are going to be back tomorrow. I will be here with Luke Fresher, and we're going to talk about his fantasy comic project on Kickstarter. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Friday, hey, guess what? Friday, we're going to be back for more science fiction role playing, because we're gonna continue on looking at C1, the Hidden Shrine of Temicon, and then we're going to play some Gamma World. And then next Monday, we start the whole ball of wax rolling again. So thank you all again, everyone, for playing. Thank you all for watching. We had a good crowd tonight. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. The cat thanks you. Yes, my wife's cat coming in the room and meowing at everyone. The ship's cat, I guess that's our Jonesy. Don't go up in the air ducts, sweetie. I'm not coming back for you. I'll set that auto destruct and be on Narcissus weeping for your memory. And we'll see you all next week. So everybody have an absolutely great day. Peace.
See you guys.
Peace out.